It all began when Thomas Jefferson beat Adams in the 1800 election.
Controversy came about when Adams tried to appoint a lot of Federalist judges to continue his legacy. And when Jefferson came into office, he was like, no, I'm not going to appoint these judges.
In the election of 1800, there was a time gap between the changes of presidents, and Congress was still working with the old president.
In that time gap, the Federalists realized they were, for the first time in history, going to be the less powerful party, and the executive and legislative branch was going to be dominated by the Jeffersonians.
You see, since the Federalists wanted to remain higher power, Adams tried to appoint a lot of Federalist judges to carry on his legacy. So he's electing these people in an attempt to get them confirmed by Senate.
But John Marshall, who's to become Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, as part of this process, is the person who has to deliver the commissions to the newly appointed judges.
But they ran out of time.
Whenever Jefferson has officially become president, he finds the judicial commissions that will appoint all these judges who believes align the Federalist Party.
Therefore,
He orders James Madison, who is his Secretary of State, to not deliver them because he believes there is already too many Federalists in the judiciary.
Judges to be appointed was Marbury.
Marbury's friends was the retired Attorney General for the United States, who tells him about the writ of mandamus.
you see, a writ of mandamus is an order from a court to an inferior government official, granting them the right to properly fulfill their duties or correct an abuse of discretion. This writ of mandamus gave Marbury the idea to ask the Supreme Court to give him the commission as a judge.
John Marshall received this since he is now the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. He wants to give Marbury the commission, but the new administration is full of anti-Federalists, and Marshall doesn't want to make them dislike him.
This leads to the Congress suspending the Supreme Court for a year as a message to Marshall that if he goes against the Jeffersonians and their beliefs while Chief Justice, there will be consequences.
If Marshall rules that Jefferson has to turn over the commissions, that means he will have ignored the court order, meaning the President and Secretary of State would be ignoring an order from the Supreme Court, meaning it would make it a lesser branch of government.
Marshall then finds a different way to go around this decision. He presents three different questions. First, did Marbury have the right for which he petitioned?
Marshall ruled that Marbury had been properly appointed in accordance with procedures established by law, and that he therefore had the right to the writ.
Second, did the laws of the U.S. allow the courts to grant Marbury such a writ?
Ruled that Marbury had the right to such a commission. The law must afford him a remedy.
Third, could the Supreme Court issue such a writ?
Marshall ruled that the court could not grant the writ because Section 13 of the Judiciary Act of 1789, which granted it the right to do so, was unconstitutional, insofar as it extended to cases of original jurisdiction, meaning expanded the power the court has under the Constitution.
Marshall took the part of the Judiciary Act of 1789 and declared it unconstitutional because it amends the Constitution. The Supreme Court does not have the power to issue a mandate.
It is the province and duty of the judicial department to say what the law is. Those who apply the rule to particular cases must of necessity expand and interpret that rule. If two laws conflict with each other, the courts must decide on the operation of each.
For the part of the Judiciary Act of 1789, Section 13, that adds to the Supreme Court's original jurisdiction must be null and void.
Laws which are repugnant to the Constitution are null and void. It cannot stand because it directly conflicts with Article 3, Section 2 of the Constitution.
As a result, a law of Congress is declared unconstitutional, and from then on, established a precedent for judicial review.
Judicial review is the idea, fundamental to the U.S. system of government, that the actions of the executive and legislative branch are subject to review and invalidation by the judicial branch.
The case defined the power of the Supreme Court and allowed the Supreme Court to interpret and declare that what the Constitution was because of Marbury versus Madison case.